Best wishes for a new year. I'm Dana Denta, and you're watching FYI. To ring in the new year, let's take a look at FYI's Best of 2025 during the third installment of the Year in Review. In 1987, National Girls and Women's in Sports Day was established to recognize success and provide equal opportunities for athletic participation across genders. The Ann Arbor Sports Commission highlighted these accomplishments at the local level on the campus of Eastern Michigan University.
Today is the National Girls and Women in Sports Day. This is our clinic partnership with the Ann Arbor Sports Commission and Eastern Michigan University.
We love to support girls and women around Washtenaw County, and with this national holiday, it gave us a great opportunity to provide education, new sports for girls and women to learn so they can continue to learn their strengths, their capabilities, mental resilience.
We want to educate everybody on the opportunities out there, and it's not just focused on women's sports. We brought our football team, our baseball team, and then we have rowing and women's soccer and volleyball and some others as well.
This opportunity is for all ages, where younger athletes can learn sports, or possibly somebody who has not been involved in sports to learn a sport and realize that anybody can be involved in sports and see the impact that it can make.
For the clinic, they'll be able to go onto the basketball court and take a jump shot, so get that Division I college feel right immediately following the game, get shots up. And then our women's basketball student athletes are going to come up to the atrium, and then they'll be able to sign autographs for all the kids.
Having them watch us work hard out here, talk to each other, communicate, build relationships on and off the court, it's really cool.
People should come to this event whether they want to learn something from it or just to support their daughter, their sister, their friend, and just further enhance celebrating girls and women in sports.
Let's go Eagles!
In 2024, a new sport was brewing in Hungary. It combined elements of games we all know and are beloved throughout the world to create an innovative and exciting new challenge that can be played right here at two of Ann Arbor's favorite parks.
Tegball is a sport that is played on a curved table. You can use any part of the body but your hands.
It's kind of like a ping pong table, but it's a little bit curved to allow for more rallies with a bigger ball. It's basically ping pong and soccer mixed together.
You can play it as a singles or doubles. The idea is to hit the other side of the table, and each side has an opportunity to touch the ball 3 times. Failing to retrieve the ball within those 3 touches, other side gets a point.
To be able to play something like that, so casually and effortlessly without needing a big field or anything was great. And also the added complexity of having to abide by ping pong rules was really fun.
Back in 2023, there was some communications between Tegball USA and Parks and Recreation staff. The idea was not only to bring something new to the community, but also an opportunity for Tegball USA to grow the sport. So they decided to donate 2 tables for us. One is at Olson Park, the other one is here at Fuller Park. We chose these locations because this is where we have our premier soccer fields.
This is perfect because it's super low commitment. You can just walk up to the park with a ball and just play with each other. And I know some friend groups like mine are super competitive, and this is something perfect for that.
The Kirk Gibson Foundation is making positive strides to improve the lives of those living with Parkinson's disease and their caregivers. The nonprofit recently opened doors to their Center for Parkinson's Wellness with a focus on movement.
This is the official grand opening of the Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness. My dad's main thing is he wants to move because movement helps keep those daily Parkinson's symptoms at bay. And so what we want to encourage people to do is come in and utilize the classes that we offer.
Exercise your brain, exercise your body, learn about Parkinson's and how you can make it to get over the effects or counteract the effects, and learn how to eat properly.
Parkinson's is a neurodegenerative disease. It's the fastest growing neurodegenerative disease in the world. And so there's tremors, so they're going to be shaking. Their posture will start to go forward and down. Their speech will be quiet or even slurred at times. What we want to do here is encourage people to move, because the more you move, the better your body will be at keeping those symptoms at bay.
I've had great mentors along the way. Sparky is one that comes to mind, because he used to say, if you win and you don't give something back, it's not worth a damn. We're looking to redefine what it's like to live with Parkinson's disease, not just exist, but to live, to really live.
Some brave individuals took their sport for a local nonprofit to the extreme as they went over the edge to raise awareness and crucial funding for Friends Indeed.
Our mission is to help people in need and building community to end poverty. And we are on site here for our 6th Over the Edge fundraising event. We've had over 32 repellers.
People often ask me, why I do this crazy thing, But, I've had the opportunity to volunteer with Friends Indeed and have firsthand experience with, the types of services, the clients that they help. It just does such amazing, impactful work that I find it transformative.
They literally go over the edge and rappel down 11 stories as a sign of their support and their commitment. We try to help people confront problems, confront their situations, overcome. So this is our tangible way, metaphorically, of overcoming some of the limitations we put upon ourselves.
Let's go, Friends Indeed!
Ann Arbor is showing strong signs of becoming the Silicon Valley of the Midwest as tech startups and innovation increasingly take root in our corner of Michigan. Among the leaders driving the momentum is Applied Intuition, a cutting-edge company developing tools to make vehicles across all sectors safer and smarter.
We are at the ribbon cutting for the new facility for Applied Intuition, one of our great engineering firms that's doing really cutting-edge work for the auto sector and increasingly for the defense sector.
Applied Intuition is a company that makes vehicle intelligence. What that really means is the AI and the software that would be used to make cars, trucks, construction equipment, mining equipment, tanks, fighter jets, all more intelligent. Intelligence typically can mean just how they interact with the environment, but it specifically means autonomous. So the company started a little under 9 years ago in Mountain View, California, and we built tools and operating systems and autonomy that we then work with manufacturers to deploy onto cars and trucks.
And you're really leading and showing the world what Michigan is capable of.
The head of Applied Intuition is a Michigander. He literally grew up in Macomb County, went to Kettering, worked in the auto industry, went off into the world and started this amazing company and brought it home to Michigan. And I think that to me is like a story we can all be proud of.
Lots of reasons for us to be in Michigan, from a personal story all the way to the recruiting, but yeah, we're only looking forward to expanding our presence there over the coming years.
4 months out of the year, a local musician shares the power and serenity of the drums during the Drum and Dance Jams at Interfaith Center for Spiritual Growth.
We're having a fabulous drum circle with Curtis Glatter, who is a skilled musician, drummer, professionally trained, and he has a very artistic temperament.
The purpose is basically to enjoy the art of drumming, the fun of drumming, and also to maybe relieve a little stress. Drumming is a language, as much as English is a language, as much as all other languages.
It was amazing how all our little parts joined together to become something magnificent.
It's a great activity, no matter what your experience, because you can come in here with no knowledge of drumming. It does improve memory, cognition. It improves not just longevity of life, but also levity, as in positive feelings in everybody, not just yourself, but in everybody that's partaking in the drum circle.
Ann Arbor is our quaint town in Michigan. We know and love our downtown, proudly rep our sports teams, and revel in the city's thriving music scene. The Tubi Ann Arbor Prime travel show Lost In highlighted some of Ann Arbor's top spots. Watch.
Lost In shows off the hidden gems and the people behind them. So my name is Christian Stevenson, aka DJ Barbecue. I'm the host of Lost In, and we travel the world looking for wonderful towns to get lost in. We do like 3 to 5 days in each town. We eat, drink, go into the music scene, culture, history. We dive in. We have been to the Big House. We also spent the day at Zingerman's. I got to drive a 1967 GT 350 Shelby around to get to the Blue Llama, which is where we are right now. Hanging out with my old friend Chef JJ, who I met at a festival in England, and then I went to his restaurant in Harlem, and the fact that they have one of the best jazz clubs / restaurants in the world here in Ann Arbor. And I've traveled, I've been to a lot of restaurants, and this is easily one of the best, and I love his food.
If you're watching this in Ann Arbor, but you've got family somewhere else and it's a really cool town, like, tell us where to go. We're looking for those hidden gems. We're looking for those cool towns that we can get lost in.
The ever-rising cost of groceries has left consumers reeling at the register. And to clear up any misinformation about why the cost of eggs has soared, I sat down for an official interview with the Humane Society of the United States.
Eggs and price gouging are a hot-button issue, but the reason behind the price hikes varies from political party to another. It's time to leave the politics out of the hen house and learn the facts from fiction when it comes to the ever-changing cost of eggs. Joining me is Kate Brindle, working in public and corporate policy for the Humane Society of the United States. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'd first like to talk about what is the cage-free egg law and how long has it it's been a law for a while, right?
Yeah, so to give some background of why the law was necessary, if you can imagine, most egg-laying hens on factory farms, they are locked in these tiny cages called battery cages. They're wire cages. There's several birds in a cage, and they're so small and they're packed in so tightly that each hen can't even fully spread her wings. And so she's forced to live her entire life in the amount of space of an iPad or a sheet of computer paper. And so she's forced to eat, sleep, defecate, all in that same small space. And not only is this cruel to animals, but if you can imagine, the disease spreads in these facilities as well. A lot of evidence suggests that salmonella is more prevalent in cage facilities. So this is really a public health issue as well. So because of the animal welfare and the public health implications of cage facilities, in 2019, Michigan passed a cage-free law with bipartisan support. And what it said is that you can't produce or sell eggs in Michigan if they were a product of cages. And so the law passed in 2019, and then it went into effect on January 1st of this year.
So we knew about the law, but it's really a newer law. So they had, there is like some sort of stipulation about how many hens you have, right? And that being part of the law.
That's right. Yep. It applies to larger producers. So if you have 3,000 hens, then it applies to you. And there is some history. So in 2009, the humane community and then also the agricultural community, like the Farm Bureau, came together and passed an original law that guaranteed hens more space, and that applied to production. And so this is 16 years in the making. And so Michigan farmers have been in the process of transitioning so that they can supply the market.
So one of the things that I think we hear a lot about is because this cage-free law is like there's signs at the grocery store about it and stuff. And so it's sort of making people think that the whole reason that the price of eggs has now skyrocketed is because of this newer law in Michigan. But that's not really true, is it?
No, it's not true. The real culprit of the high egg prices, and some people are even reporting seeing egg shortages, is avian flu. So we across the country are experiencing an unprecedented outbreak of avian flu. So in 2024, last year alone, 40 million hens were killed, egg-laying hens were killed because of avian flu. And the entire egg industry is only around 300 million hens. So that's what's creating the shortages and the prices. And the Michigan egg industry, the Michigan Retailers Association, they went on record in the Detroit News saying that if you are seeing higher prices, it's not because of the cage-free law. It's because there are fewer birds laying fewer eggs all throughout the country.
Well, and when you talk about these birds in cages, I mean, who wants to think about them having like this space? Like, think about it for yourself. Would you want to live in a place where you couldn't put your arms out? I mean, that's just sad, and it's making me sad thinking about that in itself, that like that's how they had to live, and then they are providing us with sustenance, and we don't care about their quality of life.
Right, exactly. And egg-laying hens, they have the same ability to feel pain and suffer as the dogs and cats who we share our homes with. And so to spend, and it's not temporary that they're in these cages, they're in these cages their entire lives. So for their entire lives, a bird will never know what it's like to spread her wings fully. And so that's, as I was saying before, it's not only cruel, but it's a food safety risk.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the quality of the eggs aren't going to be as good because there's the possibility of other things happening like salmonella. And then can you tell if an egg has salmonella? I mean, it's in a shell.
And that's the problem. You can't tell. And salmonella it can be deadly, especially in certain populations like young children or the elderly. So that's why cage-free laws like the one in Michigan are so important, not just for animal welfare, but for public health as well.
Are these cage-free egg laws happening in other states throughout the United States? Or, there's just a few? I mean, are more people adopting this?
They are. There was a poll that came out recently by Data for Progress, and what it found was that they surveyed voters across the United States, and what they found was that 80% of voters, and that's roughly equal percentages of Democrats and Republicans, want to see a law in their state that would phase out the use of cages for egg-laying hens. And so there are 8 states that have a law on the book very similar to Michigan's, which bans both the production and sale of eggs if they're from chickens in cages.
Well, in this cage-free law almost seems like it's the bare minimum for them. It's not like it's giving them this great quality of life. It's helping them a little bit. It almost seems, yeah.
It helps them. So it provides more space in addition to phasing out cages. But one of the things that's really key too is that it provides for enrichments. So right now, these things like perching and dust bathing and laying eggs in a nest, things that are so vital to hens' well-being, they're not able to do that in cages. But so Michigan's law not only says you can't use cages, but it says you have to provide these enrichments. So they do have areas to perch, to lay their eggs in a nest, to dust bathe, things like that.
Okay, good. That's good to know because like I said, now I'm feeling sad for the birds. Like I don't want them to live this life where It's just it's a terrible thought to even think about. And the fact that this was happening up until just very recently in our area. Can you talk about what the avian flu is and then what happens when like your hens get it? I mean, like you said, it spreads pretty fast.
It does. And so the avian flu is a disease that like you say, it spreads so fast that what ends up happening is that entire flocks of birds have to be killed in order to stop the spread. And so it's mostly spread from wild birds who come into contact with domestic birds, and then it just takes off. And so, unfortunately, we've seen producers have to kill over 1 million birds because of this disease. So it really is, it's devastating the entire industry. I mean, they're taking action and protocols like increasing biosecurity, things like that. But I mean, it's one of those things that I mean, almost like a human cold or a flu, it just spreads. That if you're in a room with somebody, it spreads. And so that's what we're seeing with the avian flu, unfortunately, which is why this outbreak is so big and why it's been nationwide.
So when they end up getting the avian flu, there's no helping them really. You have to kill the flock, basically.
Right, that's what happens. And what the method that's commonly used is called ventilation shutdown. And what that is they turn off the air to the birds in these facilities. And so it's the equivalent of if a dog were locked in a car and suffocated to death because of the heat. And so that's the main method that's utilized. So that's really cruel in and of itself. And the Humane Society of the United States advocates for more research to be done to have better methods when those mass killings are done. But yeah, I mean, it's just been devastating all around.
I mean, you're like, can we get some antibiotics for these birds?
Yeah, and there are vaccines available for it, and those are being used in some other countries like France, Egypt, for example, are using the vaccine. I don't think they're really being used here, but there are ways to deal with it, increasing biosecurity of who comes in and out of the farm and the facility, things like that. So. There are attempts being made, but because it has been so sweeping, but unfortunately, we've seen these mass killings of flocks.
Well, and you mentioned earlier that, you get rid of that many hens and then the eggs, there's not as many eggs. And that's obviously a huge reason why the prices are so much. I mean, I can't even imagine having to literally kill that many birds at one time. And then how long does it take before you have enough hens again to make the production that you were?
It can take up to a year. So if you have a flock that's killed because of avian flu, by the time you start getting the new flock, and so it can take a couple generations sometimes. So, if, like I said, there were 40 million hens, egg-laying hens in the egg industry killed because of avian flu last year. And so we're still seeing the impacts of that because it can take up to a year to repopulate flocks to where they're producing eggs like they used to be.
Well, can other species of animals or humans get the avian flu? Because it sounds pretty serious.
Possible. There haven't been that many cases of it, but there have been documented cases. There was actually a human death in the United States because of avian flu, and so the fear is that diseases they can mutate as we've seen with other diseases, and especially zoonotic diseases. And so while it's not as common for other species to get it, we are starting to see them get it, and the fear is that it would spread to other species as well.
Is there anything that we can do on our own to advocate for the hens? Reach out to our local politicians, anything like that? I don't know. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I think if folks want to reach out to their politicians and talk about how important this cage-free egg law is, because it did just go into effect January 1st of this year, and like you were saying before, it's an unfortunate coincidence that avian flu is happening at the same time that Michigan's cage-free egg law went into effect. But yeah, if folks want to call their lawmakers and talk about the importance of this law, both from an animal welfare perspective and from a public health perspective, I think that could be really beneficial.
Yeah, and I think we just need to get that misinformation out there. We don't want people to think that the cage-free law has anything to do with it, because like you said, they've had years to accommodate that law and make a better living space for the hens.
Right, exactly. And not just because of these regulations, but also because that's what consumers are demanding. Over 200 of the country's top companies have cage-free egg policies that they will only source eggs if they're from cage-free hens. For example, McDonald's, which buys roughly 2 billion eggs annually, 100% of their locations are now cage-free, and they reached their goal last year. So there is a demand for these products, and the egg producers know that it's not just these regulatory standards, but it's consumers and companies that are calling for these changes too.
Well, Kate, is there anything that we can do to maybe alleviate, the pricing? Like some stuff's just too expensive now. Are there options? Maybe get farm fresh eggs? Is that something that people can consider?
We can certainly consider that. And there's different eggs on the market too. It's not just cage free in Michigan. There's also pasture raised, which means the birds are outside. There's free range. And those two are going to be a little bit higher standard than the cage free eggs. So that's certainly an option for consumers too.
Well, before we go, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about this, or what the Humane Society is doing for it? Anything at all before we go?
Yeah, absolutely. And so because egg-laying hens, they have they're feeling beings. They can suffer like our dogs and cats that we share our homes with. It's really critical that we get them out of extreme confinement. And this isn't just something that animal groups are pushing. This is something that's the majority of voters and residents of the US are in favor of a law like this. And also companies are adopting cage-free standards because they know that that's what their consumers want. Nobody wants to see egg-laying hens confined in these tiny wire cages that are so small they can't even flap their wings.
Well, and I also think, I'd hope that no one would want that on their conscience either.
Right, exactly. And unfortunately, sometimes it's hidden and it's hard to see when you go into a store and you look at a carton of eggs. Sometimes you see the red barn and you assume, oh, they're running around and they're on a pasture, and that's just not the reality. So I do think that consumers, like you say, they don't want to support this type of cruelty. It's just the labels are unfortunately confusing sometimes.
Well, thank you for clearing up any confusion that there has been about this egg law. Like I said, you hear about it, but you don't always know the facts. So thank you for enlightening me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.